Hello, friends. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, back to Warui Deshou, the stream of thought, talking about the Vikings, the one and only Norse legend, heritage thing. Bjorn.
Did you machine translate that?
Yep, I did. That was me.
Oh my god! By the way, this is real hoodie hours. As you can see, both me and Doc are wearing hoodies today.
Yes.
Doc, because of his apparently isn't too warm, whereas my home at the moment, I have the heating on. I still have a hoodie on. I'm probably going to set some part of this setup behind me on fire to keep me warm at some point, because currently it's incredibly cold everywhere in England at the moment. December sucks. You heard it from me first. And if I may get us started, let us begin with the F's in chat for our dear mushroom connoisseur, fallen in battle, Bjorn. F's in chat.
Yep.
Pay your respects, folks.
That's right. I'm pressing F now.
May he rest in peace in the Mushroom Kingdom. Forever.
And ever. God. The Mushroom Kingdom.
His heaven. That's his heaven. You know this as well as I do.
They're gonna put his corpse into a pipe. And
No,
and now he's off to the big, World 1-1 in the sky.
If I ever get round to it and I suddenly also develop a sense of colors and artistic talent, I will actually make a Super Mario World Beyond sprite. It would work.
Man, I need to get on Mario Maker and do a level called Rip Bjorn. That needs to happen. It's just a big mushroom, and there will be other parts to it. I haven't conceptualized them yet, but the large mushroom will happen, and it will make you grow large as a tribute to our fallen,
incredible,
our fallen hero. I mean, the main character of the show is dead. Shadon, our avatar.
I know, that's it. Pack it up. Let's call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done watching Vinland Saga now. Why come back?
I know. I mean, there's the political intrigue can kick rocks compared to
all this devastation of of meeting old friends again after all this time. The burden of aging. 11 years later, all this awful stuff doesn't matter. My favorite mushroom boy ain't gonna mushroom no more.
No more. No more shroomomania for us. It's very tragic, but we'll try to soldier on and do this.
I do hope that Bjorn's tombstone is just a giant, toadstool. It's what he would have wanted.
It's true. Yep, and that's what's important. I'm the subtle doctor, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Shadon is with me here from the other side of the pond. The hardest working man in pod business is here.
Well, I don't know about that, but hardest drinking man in pod business, I think that's probably the more accurate description.
That's not contradictory claims.
Drinking alcohol is not hard work, by the way. Spoilers, by the way, for our final Vinland Saga stream. When it happens, I will be drinking mead on that.
It must happen.
Of course.
There will be other surprises in store, I'm sure, for you. But the mead, I feel like you've been. Have you called that a while back, right? Like you have.
I did, and I promise I will get round to it. I promise I will get drunk on stream just once for covering Vinland Saga. It's what Bjorn would have wanted.
Again, it's true. It's what we need to do as a community, is honor his wishes. I think, it's what anime deserves, right?
Mm-hmm. Deserves me making a tit of myself live on air to, how many people may be watching this thing in time. Because I'm drinking 14% mead. Whoops.
Well, now the anime can drink along with you because it turned 21 this week.
Oh!
Vinland Saga. Yeah, it's come of age.
That was the best segue ever. I feel like we need to start having a competition on who can outdo each other with the best segue on this show.
I lose so hard. I'm terrible at it. This was the exception that proves the rule.
If I get rich, I'm going to win it by default forever just by having a segue in the background, completely uncommented on. Best segue on the show.
Would be the worst segue of any show if you had a segue in the background of your.
You have no imagination, honestly, no imagination.
Well, look, before we can fully go into debaucherous revelry with Vinland Saga, we need to look back one last time at episode 20, specifically the Twitter polls, and check in on what you, our viewers / listeners, had to say about the various polls that we put out on the Warui Deshou Twitter, at Warui Deshou, if you'd like to participate. More polls will be coming at you throughout this stream, and they'll last a week. So head on over and vote. We'll update you on them at the end of this stream and then at the beginning of the next one.
So right. So let's take it from the top then. Vinland Saga, episode 20, poll number 1. Is Floki the salacious crumbs of King Sweyn's Danish jabber? 42% said, I mean, I think if I do that voice anymore, I'm going to have to start taking cough drops. But anyway, 42% you said that, and 58% you said, well, I'm not doing the noise that he makes. Just, you all know what it sounds like. Just imagine in your head.
It's good. The screaming incoherent noise. It's good.
Yeah.
The salacious.
Imagine Frank Oz, like, going completely insane on LSD, and that's basically how it sounds.
Man, I still love, actually, when Jabba, like, gets mad. Like, it's so funny to me. His whole, like, huge eyes and just the nods, like, "Who the chuba?" Like, it's, oh god, it cracks me up, that scene, every time when he gets pissed off. What do you
reckon he's actually saying, like, apart from his usual gibberish, like, "Oh, by cripes, I didn't mean for this to happen. This is most uncouth."
Exactly.
Or do you reckon he's like saying, "You what, you posh quack? I'll fucking have you."
He's like just like, probably the latter, but I'd like to think that he's just like, "Oh, dearie me, I feel as if, and don't take this the wrong way, but you may have stepped a skosh out of line. If you could just perhaps rephrase what you said, maybe we'd be able to get along like sporting gentlemen."
Now is not the time. It's the new season premiere of Babylon 5, you fuckers. I can just about see him being there. I mean, he clearly is a couch potato, let's be honest.
And they don't have DVR in the Star Wars future. It was not envisioned.
No.
So they had to watch it live.
Light speed, lasers, lightsabers even, all that. Streaming services? On demand? No. Possible.
Oh, man, do you remember when everyone... So, like, okay, you're aware of, like, I don't know what they call this phenomenon. There's a word for it. But when a product becomes so synonymous with a particular brand that we just all start calling, for instance, tissues Kleenex.
Ooh,
there's a
people
word
in chat. People in chat. You use your
Mm-hmm.
Google things. Use your search engines to search with, and tell us this while we're live on air.
It was for a while Tylenol, I think, had such a grip on the painkiller that give me a Tylenol instead of painkiller.
Tom's Pepto-Bismol.
But like the DVR sort of industry in the very beginning, I guess, had so few visible competitors that everyone used to call it TiVo. TiVo the show. I guess Google is like this, like when you just mean to search for something, although you are using Google all the time. It's not like exactly like Kleenex, but I just remembered when we talked about DVR, for some reason my brain was like, salacious crumb, you didn't TiVo Babylon 5. And I'm like, we used to call it TiVoing.
Oh man,
it's weird.
Moving away from TiVo, poll number 2. Now we're going to talk about something distinctly British and superior to all of your American pig food.
Yep.
Sorry to put it out there so bluntly, but I just thought I'd be fair to you, and find out. Is the pasty just a calzone? Because that's a thing now.
It is.
38% of you have no taste and no idea what the hell you're talking about because you said totally, which fucking isn't. I'll just tell you that now. Don't make me get out of this. I'll go. I will go, and I'll let Doc solo this for a bit while I get on a plane. But 62% of you, you're in the clear. You and I, we can be friends. I'm just saying. Next up, poll number 3. This is the Fortnite question that we got to put in, because Doc wanted to get the Fortnite books. What did you think of Gunnar's dance? 25%.
Oh, I didn't get it, but now I get it because I'm not looking at it. Okay.
25% move over the floss. 25% I'd learn it if I could, and 50% I don't even. I don't even either, folks. But then again, Gunnar's got something else going on in this episode, which I'll bring up when we get to it, because I've never seen a more transparent person in my entire life. I'm surprised it wasn't fucking bro.
Canute, like, what makes you say that he's a spy? Well, kind of everything.
Do you want me to start listing, Canute? I'm going to be here for a while.
Unfurl a scroll that's like 6 feet long.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have been there for hours. And finally, episode 20, poll number 4. Is the crown a spirit? So is it basically the Lich King's helmet from World of Warcraft?
It's the crown spirit.
Yeah, 48% said yes and 52% said no. So,
no fun.
Depending on who you ask in any given room, half the people think that Vinland Saga is a paranormal mystery. So, hey, there we are.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out as the episodes continue and we get towards the conclusion. But otherwise, that brings us to the end of the polls for episode 20. So thank you very much, actually, to everyone who joined us this time. Really good to always have you throwing in a couple of the answers to the polls there. More coming your way, Lace, which I'll be putting through on the YouTube chat as we go.
Indeed.
But back over to you, Doc.
Yep. But before we talk about... Now we can move on, by the way, to 21. But before we talk about what happened in the episode, let's talk about... the episode director, really briefly here. Saikai is what the Japanese title is. Translates to reunion, of course. And we have Yusuke Tsunoichi directing. Once again, the director's chair. Only a single occupant this time. And... I thought that they did a pretty good job with this. I enjoyed, and this is not on the director per se, but I enjoyed this episode. I thought that there were numerous instances of really high quality, highly detailed facial expression art.
Yes, there was.
There were some really good reaction shots and things like that. That again, it looked like they took some extra time to add some extra shadows, shading, detail lines, and that added a lot to the episode. But Tsunoichi has directed before. Once again, we're in reruns here. They directed episode 10, and just like on that show, I will say here again, not a huge resume for Tsunoichi. Or is it Tsunoichi? Am I reading this wrong? I might be reading this wrong. I am.
Just call him Simon and have done with it.
Yusuke Tsunoichi. Sorry, apologies, Yusuke-san. But I'm going to shout this out again because it's really fun to see your reaction to when I say this. Production assistant on Mass Effect Paragon Lost, the movie.
Oh, bloody hell.
Just forget it exists all the time.
That's basically what's happened to Mass Effect, the franchise in general. Even I forgot about it when I promised I'd start streaming it.
You did forget about it.
Yeah. I guess my maths just wasn't very effective for too long.
No.
Wow.
But yeah, this person has never, it looks like never helmed a project creatively as a director or an art director or anything like that. They were the unit director for the Ace Attorney opening, which I mean, you probably don't want to be associated with the Ace Attorney television anime at this point, but some good credits though, even though again the resume's small. Stuff like Drifters, an anime that more people should watch. Episode 6, again Drifters, an incredible anime that features Jesus commanding an army of orcs. Definitely should watch this show.
Finally, a faithful adaptation of the Old Testament.
Exactly.
I've been waiting all my life for this. I might have actually paid attention in Sunday school. God,
if you knew
literally, why?
If you knew they weren't censoring the Bible, that's all. You're just a conscientious objector to Sunday school. Furikuri Progressive. Probably that one isn't so good. I've not seen it yet, but I've heard only disparaging things. But also episode director on episode 13. Always important episodes, those. Of Haikyuu, the second season. Done some work on the basketball Kuroko plays. which I quite like, despite not having watched a lot of it. The stuff that I watched, I did like. But yeah, small CV, but putting in a shift here, again, a good shift, I should say, on the Vinland Saga, episode 21 reunion.
They've certainly done very well with this particular episode, I'll say that ahead of time. And if anything, like the most recent episodes finally feel like the show's got its stride again. It just keeps hitting it, beat for beat, time after time. It's just landing all the right notes, hitting all the right spots. It's working. So keep it up. See it home to the end, boys.
I don't think your poll is posting in chat.
That's rude of it.
Just because I guess you're not the admin or whatever. So
boo.
But head on over to Twitter. Maybe the notifications here will be like poll 1 is up. So when you see that, you can just go to Twitter and vote. And again, we'll check in on those at the end of our show. But excuse me, I apologize. Here we go with our summary of episode 21, the key events. And then we'll get to our discussion directly.
There may or may not be a reunion in this episode titled Reunion. We really can't say ahead of time.
What are you even talking about? That would be silly.
Who knows what might happen?
Listen, this is a serious show. Those kind of shenanigans and that sort of silly,
a serious show where a guy gets fire in the
humor.
eyes? I mean, I was half expecting that dude to have, like, chicks flying around his head.
The horse that got uppercutted into the sky.
How could I forget about that?
Oh, man.
Well, I'm glad I remembered it now.
We may have lost Bjorn, but we still have, our favorite pipe-smoking son, Leif.
The Erickson.
Yep, Mr. Leif Erickson.
Our favorite Erickson, as you say.
That's our favorite Erickson. Actual historical figure, like many people here. It's just he's one that I remember because I learned about him in school. I think
was that during your Don't Do Drugs class, Stock?
No, unfortunately, it wasn't. They again censoring the truth.
See what I mean? See what I mean here, folks? Like, the US, they don't have the correct version of the Old Testament where Jesus is leading orcs around. They don't know what pasties are and think they're calzones. And now this shit.
Yeah, it's true.
No wonder America's so screwed up.
I should say that this is not to turn this into the Drifters cast, but that army of orcs that Jesus is leading, he's leading it against Oda Nobunaga. Also, Billy the Kid is involved. Joan of Arc, of course. Yeah, so it's good.
Fate Grand out of order.
No, it's so much better than that.
Wow. Not that I doubt that, but like...
I love Fate, but Drifters is like hilarious in a way that Fate just isn't. So, yeah. Okay, back on track here. Vikings. The Vikings show. So Leif is there. And he's in this whole episode. It basically takes place in York, and this is where Leif has been. And he sees that, oh my God, some noblemen are pulling into port. We need to move our fucking boat out of the way.
Yeah, it's Canute's Uber driver finally turned up.
It is the Canute mobile is pulling in. All the blondes, all the available blondes are there. Be Canute, Askeladd, and Thor Fionn.
Do you reckon they would be yelling, "I'm on a boat! I'm on a boat! Look at me, I'm on a motherfucking..." Well, you don't know what that is?
No, I don't get it. No,
I don't believe this!
What, that I don't get a reference? Come on.
Do you have a nuclear fallout bunker just designed to avoid internet memes?
Mm-hmm. Apparently I do.
Because I actually probably should build one myself, to be fair, so maybe I should be throwing shade on that. I will elaborate on this with Doc after the actual cast.
The chat. Once again, I'm being called out as a robot because for my unfamiliarity with pop culture.
Beep boop, file not found.
I'd like to think of myself as more data than... More akin to data than beep boop robot. But what is this love you speak of, Captain Picard? Interesting.
Oh man, you're making me sad now, but I'll tell you why later. That can wait.
Okay, all right. So anyway, Canute and Co. Rolling up, and Leif sees them, And at first he sees Askeladd, and he's like, holy shit, this guy killed Thor's. I can't believe it. He's here. And then he sees Thorfinn, and he is like taken aback, just like, oh my god, I can't believe this. It's you. He's thinking, right? And but then amidst all this, like him kind of recognizing, okay, sorry, Mirror just interrupting my train of thought here. But that look, it's a song or is it a meme? What is it?
It's both.
Meme song, huh? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know some memes. I'm not complete there. I know memes. You know, we already talked about the like Willy Wonka meme. Okay, that's a very recent and relevant meme. That is.
Tell me more, please.
Definitely. Tell me more about how you know all about memes. There's the one where the sharks are high-fiving each other. That's definitely also new. There's the sharks.
So, Doc, what do you say your TikTok account's up?
I have breath mints. Yes, I know of the breath mints to TikToks. I continue. Yeah. No. Okay, I kid. I don't actually have a TikTok account, although I know it is a successor to Vine. McDonald's. Anyone? Does that ring a bell? Huh? See, not that old. I know the references. Not a complete fucking old man. I really am. I feel so old lately, dude. Look what you're stroking your chin right now.
Do you need a firmware upgrade?
I do. I just need more pop culture exposure. If you could download that into me from the Matrix, I'd be happy.
I'll find you a Tumblr. We'll get you started.
Luckily, my kids are not like allowed unfiltered access to the internet, so they're not like rubbing my nose in this shit. You know, like, Dad, you're so out of touch. I mean, well, absolutely. Basically, they have some streamers they follow. This is not the After Hours cast, but they just have some streamers they follow. And that's kind of it. They don't really interface with social media, and they're very young, so that's going to stay that way for a while.
Good shout.
Yeah. So, Dan TDM, if you're listening, be happy that you're one of the few people from the internet I allowed into my children's lives. Okay? Stampy Longhead, I see you out there. You're definitely watching this. You also have been given the keys to the kingdom that is my brood. So don't take that shit lightly. Don't fucking show up as like a fucking, pro Jared type one day in my timeline, or I will it's going to cause me a lot of stress and heartache. So don't do that shit. Also, respect women should be probably the larger reason that you don't do that shit. But anyway.
Yeah, there's plenty of good reasons for that.
Anyway. Okay. I'm going to wrestle this back to Vinland. So Canute got shot. It was no longer a good day, as Ice Cube would say. Someone had to use their AK, their auto crossbow, shot Canute right in the chest, and an assassination attempt was made on the life of the prince, and but then we find out Canute, even a larger revelation. Canute's been a woman this whole time, Shadon. You knew it.
Knew it.
I knew it. We all knew it. We were hip to this from the beginning. And then, oh wait, it's not actually Canute. It's just a body double. Because
I mean, the way this all was cut and shot, not Canute, of course, who obviously was not shot in the end. But the way that this all set up and cut, you can tell just because there's no seamless transition, from seeing Canute's face when the arrow lands in the back, that it's obviously not him. Canute here sporting the very first proper bandana look, by the way, looking very Axl Low from Guilty Gear.
Definitely 1,000%.
Well,
give the man.
Axl Low was a time travel after all, so that'd work.
Just give the man two mini sides.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hook them together with a chain.
And a really, really bad Cockney accent.
Mm-hmm. Always necessary. Which Canute will get because he's grown up in England. Okay, it'll give him 10 years.
That sucks.
So, like, turns out that this was a body double, and the assassin is run down by Thor Fionn. He pursues the accuser. And this was a whole big stage thing. And the episode will reveal later on kind of why it happened and who set it up and that sort of thing. But in the beginning, we just see, like, Thor Fionn track this guy down and kill him. And right in front of Leif, who is, like, overjoyed just to see this kid. Some people, by the way, accuse Thor Fionn of being the killer, and then he just straight cold cocks this one guy. And it's an incredible scene. Like, the animation on, like, the cheek is just like...
It was he did a full Thor's, because if you might remember, when Thor's cold cocks Bjorn and all the others, like, he just did so in the exact same fashion. Mm-hmm. One and done, glass jawed.
Just put him down, and I thought it was Atlee for a second. That they're starting to blend together. These dudes with the pulled back hair.
That's what happened with me, actually. If I may point out, I got Atlee mixed up with Argy, I believe it was previously.
Mm-hmm. It happened
because, I think I'm going senile. Like, the hair's already gone. Put me in a home next, folks. Just cut to the chase on this.
No, look, I've done it. We've all confused one Viking for another at one point in our lives. This is a universal experience.
Happened many a time in my life. The many Vikings I have actually met in real life.
All white people look the same to me. What can I say? Call me racist if you want to, but that's my lived experience. No, so, but yeah, look, Leif, like, gives a giant hug, and Thor Fionn is just like, Yokata! I don't know. He's just like, I'm so glad that, like, you live, and he's just weeping into his shoulder. And,
what a moment.
And in the beginning, when Thor Fionn doesn't recognize him, he gives a pretty good, like, people's eyebrow, like, who are you again, old man? And then, like the overlapping faces occurs, which is pretty good.
And this is what happened to Leif when he smoked too much over time. That's why they did that. It's PSA.
Exactly. Definitely a side effect of the pipe.
This was Leif Erikson prior to him smoking marijuana, and now 11 years later, look at him.
He discovered it in America. And at the end of this whole exchange, we see Floki looking kind of pissed off, and he knows that Canute and Askeladd specifically are up to something. And again, they'll get into that. They'll sort of spell out specifically the whys and wherefores. Yeah, so I also liked that. Massa.
It's so awkward. It's like, do I hug? Do I hug? I don't know. Like, do I embrace this moment? Like, but I'm always angry. I can't decide.
What do I do with physical affection? It's weird when I'm not being a spy.
What's our feelings?
I know. Yes.
Oh man.
So, like, there's a scene next that I have in my notes where Thor Fionn and Leif are talking. But they play some really good music.
The music in this episode is brilliant.
Like, that was sort of Berserk-esque.
That's not the last time I'm making a Berserk reference, but I'll save the other one for later.
It's a very kind of haunting choral,
tragic, like, because this is what these moments are in this episode. Like, not to jump too far ahead into talking points, because this only really needs to be brief, but the music sells the mood as it should be. It helps accentuate what we, the audience, should be feeling, which is that everything that happens in these moments with Leif and Thor Fionn, and then later with Askeladd and Bjorn, like, they are tragic. They never should have happened to begin with. In an ideal world, none of this would have happened. But it does, and the music sells the mood of how we should feel about that. Yeah. Helps sell the fact that it's an awful waste of life, both in terms of, like, the people who are still alive and all the waste of time that they've expended doing the pointless things they've done, and then the waste of life in the sense of someone dying unnecessarily. Props to them for doing that.
Yeah, and like you said, it's all emotionally kind of packed into the music. That is very good. And so Thor Fionn asks Leif, like, so, Vinland? Like, not, how have you been? Not, how's the pipe been treating you? Not, any other questions about home or whatever? And Leif is just like, yo, ask about your family, dude. Like, you should go see your mom. She's in bad health or whatever. And Thor Fionn
doesn't even mention Ylva though, does he?
No. Well, so he doesn't mention her by name, but he does say like you should ask about your mom and sister. But then he doesn't go on to talk about Ylva. And yes, what foolish boy.
Fool.
And like Thor Fionn is just like, I won't have you answering questions that I didn't ask you. Like, starts yelling and escalating.
Did you want the code red? You goddamn right I did.
I mean, just immediately.
Like, does he think he's in the courtroom here?
It's the emotional register just ratchets up immediately, and like Leif kind of dodges the Vinland question again, despite Thor Fionn, being like, "This is what my dad wanted to do. Tell me what's up with it." And Leif is like, come home. Let's go home. And, on and on starts playing by Halcyon.
Oh, no.
You know that song? So I always associate it with Let's Go Home because in the Mortal Kombat movie, that is Liu Kang says, let's go home. And then Halcyon on and on starts playing. It's like the cheesiest shit.
Either that could be Aerosmith. I don't want to miss a thing. Now that's peak cheese right there.
It is peak cheese.
That's the Monterey Jack.
That like comes back around to being legitimately poignant. It's so cheesy.
Oh man.
But so yeah, like Leif says like, haven't you had enough? And this just like triggers Thor Fionn, sends him on one. He remembers a lot of things, I think, in this moment. He's basically just like, you don't know me. Like, you don't know the first thing about what I've been through since my dad died, since we were separated. Like, you don't need to talk to me about anything, right? Like, you don't need to lecture me or tell me when it's enough. As long as Askeladd is still breathing, I believe the phrase he uses is eating and shitting, but we'll say breathing, then it won't be enough. And, like, he's just snarling, and he is spitting venom, and he is acerbic to poor...
That's right.
Leif Chan, who should be protected at this point, I think. OG-san. So, then we see Bjorn. Bjorn! No, it's just making me sad all over again.
I'm going to note, by the way, just interrupts briefly, that this scene, I've been told, apparently did not exist in the manga, period. Like, the first time that we would have seen Bjorn in the manga in this storyline, or this particular part, would have been when he later arrives for his, early morning Tuesday duel and, tea and biscuits with Askeladd.
I like that this is there. I like this better.
I really like this edition for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to talk about that later. But I will just want to mention that and allow you to carry on, my good sir.
Sure. He meets with Askeladd and they exchange some pleasantries. Askeladd seems to be pretty awkward. Bjorn tells him, like, I think I deserve more than this room for the service I've given. And Askeladd is just like, ha ha! Right.
It's all right.
So
it's okay. It's okay, Bjorn. We're going to leave a shitty TripAdvisor review when we're done. 2 stars. Not visit again.
Yeah.
This is Airbnb Askeladd. Do you really think that I deserve this as a punishment? Death would be better than sleeping in one of those places. Fuck's sake, man.
Askeladd's like, so, how's the food? How about those Dodgers, eh? Having a hell of a year. Yeah, and Bjorn, sort of at the end of the small talk, he's just like, you could leave. I'm fine. But how's your leg? And Askeladd's like, well, it's good enough to hold the sword. And Bjorn says, then tomorrow. And my first thought was, Bjorn is pushing him to fight Thor Fionn. And that turns out to not be the case, which we'll see in a sec.
Nope.
So Mirror says the scene was in the manga. It just happened earlier. Some events have been rearranged.
Not unusual for this show. Oh, that's the thing. I've just spied it. It'll come up in a second. Ylva is married and has kids. Oh shit! Thor Fionn's an uncle.
Congrats, Thor Fionn. Congrats.
God, that's going to be an awkward family reunion when they can finally meet
part
up.
2.
So Bobby and whatever your name is, I told you once that I had a long lost brother. Here he is.
And he's just like,
and Thor is just scowling,
he's scowling, has like blood dripping off of his knives. You know,
I've got to kill Askeladd in a minute. Can we make this quick?
Has like an arrow sticking out of his shoulder. Hi, kids. Like,
it's rough out there.
Yes, exactly. Enjoy your youth, because one day it'll be stripped from you like so much cheesecloth, and you too will be flung into this cold, uncaring world to die or to become an evil.
See your dad there? If he gets on the boat and you think to yourself it's a great idea to go and stow away along with it, don't do it. No. Just trust me on this one.
Throw yourself into the sea. No.
Whoa,
no,
big extreme.
No. Like, that was such a cool scene, like I said, and I was immediately just thinking, he's pushing him to duel Thor Fionn. And then we cut to the plotting room, you know, the schemaverse, and
the war room.
Exactly, and just to hammer home how much Askeladd is, you know, like cunningly making a plan. Yeah, we've got the shot of the spider in front of the camera, which is sort of in the beginning is kind of blurred out, but then the shot shifts focus and we see the spider crawling around as Askeladd talks, because he in fact is the spider and we're all in his web. I'm not saying this is bad or like sort of a poor directorial or poor on the part of the mangaka, if this is like a shot for shot redo. It just is like, you know, it's some low hanging symbolic fruit, but that's okay. That's good. That's fine.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah. And so we find out that the reason there was this body double and there was an attempt on his life is to sort of force the king's hand when it comes to the reward and assignment he would give to Canute, because Askeladd and Canute were worried that that Thorkel and Canute would be separated by king's decree. They would be given rewards of like strongholds or territory that are far apart from each other, a quote-unquote reward, but that way they would be pulled apart so they couldn't join forces against the king. But with an attempt on the young prince's life and a different heir out there that it's well known that the king wants, I think, to succeed him. Now, if the king in his reward and assignment does something that looks like it will be disadvantageous to Canute, then it will be the nobles and the military will have much more of a case to be like, well, the king really is trying to make Canute look bad, and maybe I should believe these rumors that he's trying to kill him, because clearly he is putting him in the bad position here by giving him York, or at least giving him some kind of territory away from Thorkel. So they're trying to make sure that doesn't happen. And
thus fake news was invented, folks.
As we've already pointed out, Gunnar is a spy, and he leaves the session very much like,
this is spy I've ever seen in my
life. Askeladd is here. It's like having 10,000 troops. Oh, so good. Boom, shuts the door. Oh shit! I've got to go tell the king right away. And like, Thor Fionn follows him and he sees him, but being the chess master he is, Askeladd has planned for this. In fact, it's sort of part of his entire Longview game plan from the beginning, and he will use the spy to relay information to the king, having the king believe it wholeheartedly and without question if it comes from a spy. So the idea there was to relay the message to the king, hey, Canute don't want to mess with you right now. He has a grudge against you. He's already pointed it out, but he's playing the long game. You don't have to punish him right away. You don't have to try to get rid of him right now because he's not going to do anything right now.
Can I just say, like, given everything we learned of Gunnar in this
grand plan
scene,
to keep Canute and his vassals united and keep him out of the king's immediate radar for keep him off the shit list for the time being.
Yeah. Can I just point out, by the way, that everything we see of Gunnar in this particular
scene, Canute says no more body doubles ever. He did not like that the young lady perished. I cannot hear you.
Oh, that's great.
Did I? Oh, this is my fault. I can hear
Doc
you
is trying to silence the majority. He's trying to silence...
This is my fault. My headphones came ever so slightly unplugged. I apologize. You probably have been trying to cut in for a few minutes.
I was just going to say, seeing Gunnar in that scene, I would not trust him to tell me, what the weather is outside or how the local stock markets are doing or where's best to go get, a decent bite to eat. Because as a spy, I'm just going to say this bluntly, he is shite ass.
He's the worst.
He's fucking terrible. He's sneaking around the woods afterwards like he's Dick fucking Dastardly. No, seriously, with that mustache. Are you telling me that he's a spy? Jesus Christ.
I mean, he might as well have come into the meeting with a T-shirt that said "Definitely not a spy."
I mean, Austin Powers was ambiguous than this prick.
It's true. Sherlock from Kabukicho Sherlock is better.
Yeah!
When he wears those Tekken disguises.
Exactly.
God. Yeah, Gunnar is the worst. The worst spy in the history of spies. Boy, not a good start. Luckily, England would rebound in terms of a nation known for having good spies, be they fictional or otherwise. But he's a fictional too, so yeah, I guess not an auspicious start for England's fictional spy club. But you'd have a good one come around the bend in a few centuries, I think. Okay. So I've not lost you again, have I?
No, I'm still
okay.
here.
You are still there. Okay. Let's see, where are we in the notes? I'm at the bottom here. Thor Fionn, after he's done following Gunnar to the king's house, he says, this is a really interesting scene, I thought, where he's having an inner monologue. We don't get a lot of inner monologue in this show, or at least we didn't for a time. Maybe we're getting more of it now. I kind of haven't been paying attention, but in kind of an inner monologue moment, Thor Fionn says, everyone's obsessed with deceiving each other. Is that what a true warrior is supposed to do? Well, there's only one thing that I know I'm supposed to do. And then it's tomorrow. And what does that mean, Shadon? It's duel time, baby.
I thought it was 2 for Tuesdays at Domino's Pizza, so we could go get ourselves a little bit of pepperoni. Can I not have a little bit of pepperoni? No.
After the morning ritual of fight to the death, then you can have your pepperoni.
This is the worst.
Yeah, we got to sit through this part. So yeah, it's duel time, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh yes, here we go. It's Thor Fionn and it's Askeladd, and we've been waiting for this for months, and we're gonna see it. No, we're not, because Askeladd has other engagements.
They have to, make sure they clear out this area quick, because there is, of course, a queue building up for duels happening in the snow nearby, not least of which is Guts versus Griffith, scheduled at 10 o'clock sharp.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Griffith at his
In fact, maybe they're already doing it, and they're just looking over there. Who gives a shit? Busy. Now fight me, Guts, you prick.
Are you saying the fictional kingdom of Midland is in fact England?
Midland, Vinland, they're all the same, really, aren't they?
So, oh man, Griffith, by the way, the outfit he has on in that scene is incredible. I love that jacket, the coat rather, the purple. He's got the golden shoulder. He looks so regal and amazing. And
I mean, I've just realized now if you turn Canute's hair white and put that hat on again, he's not too far.
No, listen, I think I pointed this out actually when we first saw him. It's like, yes, this is our Griffith type. But look, like that, I'm sad you reminded me of this, because that's like that's the moment that's like the when it begins, right? That's like the Griffith's apex mountain is when he steps out onto the snow to duel Guts. He is the highest he will be, and it begins a precipitous fall, and it's very sad, and I hate it so much. But yeah, duel time. It turns out the dual opponent of Askeladd is in fact Bjorn.
Yeah,
Bjorn appears.
Yeah, and he's going to play the Bjorn Eyes White Dragon right here.
He's like slowly kind of trudging up the snow. And in a really heartbreaking final scene, like he and Askeladd have their duel with Canute being the witness. Why are you just standing there, Canute? Why are you going to let this happen? Why are you going to let our top shroom get snuffed out?
Top shroom.
He's our top shroom. But yeah, Bjorn is just like, yo, Askeladd. He says all this while, in labored breathing. I really looked up to you, man. I really looked up to you, even though you hated me, and I'm not the only one who did that. Like, you hated all of us, and I just wanted to be friends with you. I just wanted to be Tomodachi B. And then they commence dueling, and Askeladd misses the vital point, and so Bjorn gets to remain around for a few brief seconds to deliver his final line, which is just echoing what he said a moment ago. I just wanted to be friends with you. And like any true friend would, Askeladd puts a knife through his heart.
Yeah.
Right then and there to end his suffering.
Right after Bjorn, just says, "Bury with my children, Askeladd," which is of course a secret mushroom store.
Right, exactly.
Bury me amongst my family. let me live amongst them for all time.
Bury me in that one spot in the forest god hangs out with all those mushrooms. But yeah, no. But Askeladd also says, importantly, he's like, yeah, like you were my only friend. And then stabs him in the heart. I need to get the order of events right. That's important.
Just teaching a lesson for the kids, like you're going to end up murdering your. Be ready for it when it happens.
Yeah. So that's the episode, man.
That was the episode reunion. Woofed.
Yep.
Man,
that's a toughie.
It was a toughie. Should we address Patron questions first? Get those covered.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So we have 2 this week. The first of which comes from Feowulf. This one is quite the question. Would you take a kid hostage if it meant saving your friend's life? With a picture posted in our Discord, by the way, Bjorn holding Thor Fionn at knife point from episode 4. I have thought about this a little bit, and I know that sounds like a bad start when I have to think about would I take a kid hostage. That's not a good
you're
start,
taking the question seriously. We have to.
Well, here's the thing, right? Yeah. This is an extension of that principle of how far would you go for a friend? Like, what is your level to work with, so to speak? So let's be honest here, right? I have a couple of very good friends who I know over here. I, of course, have Doc and all that, and a lot of other people that I'm very fond of. Peace, bro. Here's the thing. I'm sorry, Doc. I would not take a kid hostage for you to save your life. I know that's going, and I know you're going to cut the stream imminently, and that's going to be the end of this podcast as we know it. Just going to be turned into so much ash. But here's the thing, right? I think that, we all have certain levels to which we will go to for other people, often in line with our own morals. And there are many, many things I would do for my friends if they asked me. If I had a friend of mine, for example, who, say needed a kidney donating, well, I wouldn't give them mine necessarily because they're pretty knackered. But what I mean to say is that if they were viable and they were, not in bits as they already are, I would do that. I would give a kidney for them. I would transfuse, give them blood, etc., etc., etc. I think that in Bjorn's case, the reason he was willing to go so far is because he's already lived that life, where his, like, the lines he will cross, he's crossed so many. What's one more, really, at this point, to take a kid hostage to save Askeladd's life? So I think that there's a distinct difference, like, between how far you're willing to go for a person from actually what you will do for a person.
Right.
I think that those are two separate things that kind of fall along the same axis. Like, you could argue, for example, that me giving my kidney away is going as far as Bjorn does to take someone hostage, to save Askeladd's life, in a sense, even though they're very different acts. So my answer is no, but there are many, many things I would definitely do in place of that to save a friend's life.
Remind me of the specific situation from episode 4 where he takes a kid hostage.
Well, he's taking Thor Fionn hostage in order to force.
Yes. That's right. Because Thor's. Yes. Okay. It's dumb me. Okay. So I have a 2-part answer to this. One is, like you said, would I basically be willing to cause someone else physical and emotional harm to save a friend's life?
I'd fight for them, certainly, if that's also something I should clarify.
Yeah,
I'd throw down.
I think when it comes to friends, geez, I might have to say no, but like I would, just because, like another that child's well-being. It's always really hard, but like just thinking about that gives me pause. I mean, if it were about, like you said, my own body, would I take a bullet for someone I was really close to? Yes. That no one else is being harmed in that scenario, right? Directly by me. That would be probably more amenable to my like moral calculus than causing that kind of grievous harm to somebody else. Even if I knew I wasn't going to do anything to the kid, again, like so much emotional harm. Also, accidents happen. But oh, sorry, you go first and then I'll finish.
Well, I was going to say there's a very even between you and me, Doc, very different latitude in how we'd approach this question, even if we came to the same answer, because I'm not a father, but you are.
Well, this is the second part of it is. I was talking about friends. If I'm talking about family, yes, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would, if it meant like their guaranteed safety and protection, like if it were to save their life, like you said. These like hypothetical kind of in a vacuum moral questions are tough because how could we ever know really a lot of times whether or not our doing a thing is causally related to someone else's life being saved. But if I knew that with dead certainty, like if an evil genius kidnapped all of us and we were in a Saw-like scenario, and he's like, you must take the hostage to save the life of your kids. Like, yes, I will do it immediately and with great relish. If it means that to save my kids or my wife, like I would take that on, fully aware of the awful thing I was doing, but I would do it nonetheless. And then I would give copious amounts of money to that kid's family so they could go to therapy and like work out what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, well, this person kidnapped me. I feel like it's just so many, like it's so much. Like, yeah. So I would try to support them afterward in any way I could. But this is all getting away from the Vinlandiness of it. But like, yeah, I think I would put a knife to Thor Fionn's throat if it meant to save my kids. No question.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough then. So thank you very much for that question, Fairwolf. I hope you never act in reality.
Please.
Please, no, don't put me in that scenario if at all possible. All right. So next question, moving away from kidnapping and child murder, let's talk instead about something else. This question comes from good old Blinkardi. Shouts to you, Blink, for always chiming in with some excellent questions on this. What do you think of Askeladd's personal mission in regards to whales over the course of his life, and how does that mirror Thor Fionn's? So, again, I've had time to think on this. This is the benefit of working a job ahead of time in the UK. Always handy. Hello, Sophie, by the way. Good to have you join us. So here's the thing, right? Askeladd's mission. What has he actually done over the course of his life since he had this idea in his head of hating the Danes and wanting to basically fuck with their shit? And the honest answer to this is that his mission has been really, really badly executed, or even from the beginning. Because all he's done is he's been a pirate. Like, he's not like, let's say, for example, an organized resistance or an active, like plot to take down the king or and such. And by all accounts of what we've seen thus far, it's not that it doesn't seem like he's even considered it. He's just simply become what his father was, as we evidenced in previous episodes about cycles. You've heard me talk about this before. I'll not make a cycle of talking about cycles if I can all help it, but you know how things go.
No, do it. Do the meta.
just gets too meta, honestly. But that's my point. I think Askeladd's mission has been a complete waste of his time, to be quite honest. Now, on top of that, it's also incredibly morally repugnant what he's been doing, let's be fair here. But, if he actually had any intention of helping Wales in the slightest right now, he might wanted to, have maybe toned down the piracy a little bit and actually focus on harming the Danes in a way that would, release their chokehold on Wales.
Campaign against fishing off the coast and against blubber oil. Save the whales, man. Oh god, we're gonna get into some fucking EU fisheries shit here. There's some contemporary politics for you. But no, like I think that for all that he has like this agenda, like with Thor Fionn as Blink asked, he's not gone about it in certainly the most efficient, direct, or effective way that he could have done it. If he wanted to harm the Danes, there are 1,000,001 things he could have done. Like if Swain was on a boat, for example, out somewhere in sea, he could have ambushed him and killed him there and then. I mean, come on, he was cunning enough to put an ambush together for Thor's, and he wasn't going to do that on his own initiative for King Sweyn, for example. I'm just saying that he probably could have done it if he felt so inclined. In fact, never mind, he could have done it. He is doing it in this very episode. Yeah. He's doing it right now. Yeah. So all these 11 years of it, at least that we've seen him, fanning around doing this piracy shit, posing for I don't know, Death Row record covers. I mean, exactly. You remember that? Yeah, you remember that. Odin forgives, but we don't.
Yeah, exactly. For all that he's been doing that, his plan has been pathetic. And indeed, one might then argue that maybe that's the point. Maybe he never truly believed in his own agenda of trying to help Wales and secretly was just the money-grubbing, bloodthirsty, mercenary that he's been all along. We'll leave that for up to debate. But yeah, I think it mirrors Thor Fionn's perfectly in the sense that Thor Fionn, as I've said many times, should have killed Askeladd right there and then. Damn the duel, damn the ritual, damn the, honor system and all this crap. Killing Askeladd early on, he spent 11 years of his life waiting for this to happen. What a fucking waste. If you'd killed Askeladd within, say... In fact, never mind if... Let's go back to that scene where he had Askeladd, in the stable where he was asleep, and he could have stabbed him in his sleep. If he'd done it there and then, yeah, he was still a boy, but he could have gone and done anything else from that point in his life. Maybe even go looking for Vinland, because he certainly still has a feeling for that here and there. But again, his life has been wasted by what's happened. So, Ian Askeladd, they've got agendas, they've got ideas, they've got pretensions or notions towards an overall goal. But they certainly haven't done it in the cleanest or most effective way they could have done. It actually kind of betrays, their own immaturity in the matter, I would argue.
Do you think they both might be, in some deep subconscious part of them, afraid of achieving their goals?
I'm going to address this in a little bit, funnily enough, actually. Okay. So I will. I'll keep my mouth shut for the moment. But yeah, that's my answer to it. I think that Askeladd's execution of the whole thing has been, from one fine game player to another Blink, scrubbish. He's been a scrub.
Well, so let me try to amass a devil's advocate counter argument.
You'll play devil's advocate for Askeladd?
Yeah.
Wow.
So just
you really are being the dark horse in this. He's gonna put another kid to the knife and all that, and on top of that, he's gonna play devil's advocate for Askeladd, the fucking snake of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Doc, which part of your speed dial does Lucifer occupy? Is it 1 or 2? I'm not sure.
6, obviously.
Fuck. I have to call it a day now. That's it. I've been beaten. I've been thoroughly owned.
So
well played, man.
Grazie. So Askeladd. How well kind of or how concrete in his mind are we talking about his mission being? You know, so is his mission just I hate the Danes and I want to cause them like annoyance? Because if so, his pirating has been quite you know, useful to that end, because he's been killing Danes and plundering their villages and shit. You know, I think the whole sort of non-aggression pact, correct me if I'm wrong, manga readers and people that remember things, unlike yours truly, but like it feels like kind of an audible on his part, like oh, I see an opportunity here and I'm going to take it for the benefit of Wales. And yeah, before he was just like amassing wealth for whatever. And yeah, causing annoyance and suffering to Danish villages everywhere.
That could be true as well. Like if it turns out that Wales for him is only just a thing. Again, maybe it's an excuse he says, oh, you know what? I'm pillaging and plundering and I'm like killing people and like taking their women and, you know, making like great, you know, material for future Viking metal bands. But hey, you know what? I'm doing it for Wales.
That's
you know?
Yes. Exactly.
That's my excuse. Whether or not he doesn't care a fig leaf about Wales or not. Like it could very well just be that. And maybe he always is just like exactly as we see him, which is to say murderous, scheming scumbag pirate.
Do you think Masa's onto something, that maybe he was like an idealist once? Like he's waiting around for Artorias and then at some point it was just like, it's not happening. So and then Canute shows up, right?
Well, the funny thing is, maybe that in of itself like could be an interesting contrast. Thor Fionn is an idealist in a sense at the moment with how he wants to fight Askeladd in this duel. But as I've said many times, and I'll keep repeating until Askeladd finally does give one foot in the grave, maybe he should have given up on that idealism a while ago. Just a thought.
So to contrast with Thor Fionn, I guess to me, like Askeladd's mission feels a lot more daunting, a lot more kind of conceptually vague, and possibly not graspable in one's lifetime, whereas Thor Fionn's is very concrete. You know, he's in control of all of it. You know, he doesn't really have to depend on other people to see it through. And it feels like at almost any time he could really carry it out. And that's why I was thinking...
He fucking should!
That's what I was thinking. Maybe he's kind of afraid to.
Could have done it a million times over by now. Like, you know... We could say this was this old gag reel of like how many different ways Thor Fionn could have killed Askeladd by now. There's going to be hundreds of them, I tell you.
Yeah. So
honestly, like, Thor Fionn is basically he's fucking Wile E. Coyote at this point, chasing the Roadrunner. He really is. He's trying so hard, and he just can't succeed at all. And now I'm just imagining Thor Fionn falling off a cliff, and it's just meow.
And you know, he's so young that like maybe part of like making this comparison and the parallel being shown by the show is sort of a cautionary tale, perhaps. Like, you know, here's a guy who's like lived his whole entire life and hasn't accomplished what he really wanted to accomplish. Thor Fionn, is this what you want to be? This feels like he could do this, and then, but like you're probably going to talk about, like that's sort of scary to accomplish your life's goal at like age like 18 or whatever, because then what do you do?
I mean, unless Thor Fionn wants to audition for like the earliest, you know, version of Ultimate Ninja Warrior, I think he's fucked.
He could do really well on that show.
He really could, actually. But anyway, thank you very much for that question, Blinkaji. If you yourselves like to get involved and ask us questions week on week about any topic you want us to cover on Vinland Saga, feel free to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Warui Deshou. Get yourself signed up for that for just a token couple of dollars per month. We promise not to deprive you of too many Popeyes chicken sandwiches, or whatever your local equivalent is, depending on where you're coming
just
from.
Sacrifice one.
Yeah, I know it's a hard ask. I know it's really difficult. But please give it a consider. There's plenty of great content to get from that as well. It's early exclusives, things like our Christmas Ghibli casts, the Computer Show Sherlock cast we've been doing, where I will be losing my shit in serious form come Wednesday on episode 9. You get to look forward to that.
Man, I haven't seen the episode yet. I am.
I've got the steak knives are out on this. The steak knives are out on this one. Seriously, that episode made me want to spit.
Lyrical fire.
Oh God! No, I was just thinking spit as in regular spit.
Just spit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like into a bucket.
How many times? I'm curious. Like, no one will ever do this, but what if someone went back through our 2019 content and tracked how many times we, mostly you, I think, bring up like fast food chicken, chains to slag them off? I bet the count is shockingly high. I bet we'd be surprised at the number.
Yeah, it's our own variety bucket here, folks.
Variety bucket, more chicken jokes. Oh,
it is.
Chicken jokes are good.
All right, so let's move on to talking points. I'm going to start on this one. One of the two big moments of the episode, which is, let's talk about Thorfinn and Eric's reunion here. So I'm going to get something conceptual out here first, which is, I want you all to imagine, and I hope this isn't actually true for any of you, but let's just imagine, maybe not you personally, but let's imagine an abusive relationship. Could be like, I know I'm starting off rough here, but trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, imagine an abusive relationship. Now, you're in this relationship, or rather this person's relationship, for a very long time. And what you might wonder is stopping them from leaving. Now, again, I'm talking very conceptually here. Context, the gender, anything of this particular couple, just that it exists and it's abusive. And I think that for me, there are two things that stop someone from leaving such a relationship. The first of which is an intellectual understanding. As in, I am being physically assaulted, or I am, being gaslit, I am suffering mental harm, emotional harm, you name it. Or even just the loss of material goods. For example, I'm being stolen from constantly, etc., etc. And then there's the emotional side of it, which is, I love this person, or I'm deeply, not even love necessarily, maybe it's going to be a friendship for rather than a full-blown relationship. But like, I am so tightly knit with this person, I can't understand that life outside of that kind of thing. Would you agree with what I'm saying so far, Doc, as far as that concept goes?
So far. Okay, so why am I talking about this with relation to what happens in Vinland Saga and Thorfinn's reunion with... Because there's a lot of really, really... And I think one of them that's really, really telling is Thorfinn yelling, "It'll never be enough." He actually says it twice, the second of which is its own sentence. And I have to wonder, is Thorfinn, has he met one of those two criteria where he understands emotionally or intellectually that Askeladd's death will never be enough for him? It will never bring him the happiness or the release that he needs if he were to kill him in the way that he wants. Because that, to me, seems very telling that he says it twice. And then on top of that, let's talk also about what he asks Leif specifically. Now, you might think that Thorfinn's been a massive jerk by not asking about his family, and that is true. I'm not going to pretend he's not. But let's drill a little deeper into this. What is Vinland conceptually to Thorfinn? It is a promise of a future for him, a future of warm, open plains and fertile lands. And that's the thing that he keeps going back to. And that's why he asks Leif about it now. And yeah, when Leif then says, "Hey, what about your family?" Thorfinn pushes that away. He pushes that back. Why does he push his family away? Because they're elements of his past. A past that he no longer is a part of anymore. And while I ultimately would want him to see his family again, especially given details we were enlightened to before, mentioned in the anime as such,
But then part of me wonders if maybe they were dropped because possibly he never sees them again anyway, depending on the events of the show. But when I say that they're part of his past, that is true. He's not the same kid as he was left on that boat that day. Leif even recognizes this. So I think that Thor Fionn has some understanding, either emotionally or intellectually, that he wants to be free of this, abusive relationship he's in, because that's arguably what it is, just not in the terms that you or I might describe in modern relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he keeps thinking of Vinland, why he wants not to be reminded of the past that's put him in this place, but rather to the hope of a different tomorrow. And that's why I think there's a little bit of hope to be found in what otherwise is a very bleak outcome for this conversation. Because you'd think that he would break down, his armor, that he's this constant anger that radiates from him would break down just a little bit in the presence of someone who, he's not obviously family like Thorkel, but he's probably more family than Thorkel ever was, despite them two being blood related. Because Leif was the one who put the ideas of Vinland in his head in the first place. I remember back in episode 1, he was the only one listening attentively to Leif, while everyone else thought he was a crackpot.
Right.
So you'd figure, after all that time listening to this guy, he would probably try and go back to old ways, but he doesn't. He's just got an eye on the future.
It's been too many years, man. Too much.
Yeah. Too much anger. Too much awful shit that's happened to him.
I think you're. Oh, go ahead.
So no, carry on. Actually, yes, I'm approached on Karen.
Okay, I just was gonna. So I think you're dead on that. The second time he says it, right? That it'll never be enough. Is not a Freudian slip, right? But it's him revealing, right? That even fulfilling my ambitions here won't. There's still gonna be a part of me that is broken and unsatisfied, and maybe he didn't even. Go ahead.
I think that fits the emotional side of it more than the initial one, because especially with the way he says it. I think that sorry, go on.
Oh, it strikes me as the thing I don't even know he realized he felt until. I mean, because you can imagine he's talking.
No one's ever challenged it on it.
Yeah, and he's talking to this person he's never seen in 11 years, and it's just bubbling up, and just came out. But go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I was just basically say I think that for Thor Fionn, having never really been challenged on this, that's why he slips on it. Because if he was, if people had asked him about it a lot throughout his life, he probably would have built up a response to it, something like it's my duty, it's on my father's honor, etc. But no, I think that he recognizes it will do nothing for him in the end. It won't bring back his dad, that's for sure. And you know what's ironic, actually, now I realize it? Remember all the episodes we had about Thor's having a reputation that preceded him?
Yes.
The trauma, Troll of Yon was it, I believe. Indeed, that still comes up even in recent episodes when Thorkel reveals that. But guess who's got his own reputation now? Thor Fionn Karlsvina, the guy.
You're right. Right.
The guy who beat Thorkel the Tall with 2 knives. I know. He now has his own father's reputation, his own, all that kind of infamy as a warrior. So even then, he's following in his father's footsteps, unfortunately. But he's got that now, and I just think that he recognizes on some level that he needs, he won't give him any satisfaction, but something still drives him on, the intellectual thing, I still must do this because it's my father's. I must avenge him through honor. That's me as an intellectual concept rather than an emotional one.
Yeah.
So I find this really, really fascinating, deep, really interesting insight into his psychology here.
Yeah.
And it's really, really tragic and also hopeful at the same time, because even with the music overscoring, it's we know this shouldn't have happened at this point. None of this should have happened. There's a reason, for example, we see the Leif young and old comparison, and also in the Thor Fionn young and old comparison, because we recognize that it's taken 11 years out of both of their lives. Leif himself is challenged by one of his colleagues. You've been searching for all this time, and I'll give credit to Leif for doing it. Don't get me wrong. And it's easy again for me to say, as a childless guy, that maybe it's time to give it up. But I mean, would you do that, Doc? No, of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't stop until you draw your last breath, basically, until every drop of blood was left your body, I would imagine. And Leif's not even Thorfinn's father, strictly speaking, but he's still a father figure in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this scene was just incredible. Honestly,
it was so good, and I like how the first kind of response, well, both responses actually on Thorfinn's part, like, so what is he responding to? The question, like, or the plea to come home,
mm-hmm.
and the way that I kind of reconstructed that in my head or interpreted it was like Leif was saying, like, why don't we turn back the clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't we forget
about
this whole messy business, and you can come home to where you were, and you can come home to your mom and your sister, and things will be like they were, and you can be reunited with your loved ones. You don't have to live this way anymore. And, like, I think for Thorfinn, for Thorfinn, he said, right? I mean, that turning back the call, like, there's no kind of going back.
No, that's it.
And
he's Thorfinn in name only, as far as I'm concerned. Like, relative to the kid that we saw live, indeed, that's Leif's observation.
Like, what was enough for child Thorfinn?
Mm-hmm.
Just that. Like, it's not going to be enough to save, young man Thorfinn. Like, he's going to have to find something else. And it's funny, like, I was thinking, remember, like, gosh, over 10 episodes ago, we were talking and we were sort of anticipating the arc that he would go on, and we how we might start to see, like, he might gain something worth protecting, right? And that would be the arc where he would be like, like, revenge is not, like, he would put less stock in that and more emotional stock in protecting people.
We mentioned one of the ladies that you met previously, serving girls.
Yeah, we thought, like, okay, they're gonna have a thing, and
nope.
Looking back on it, that didn't quite happen like that. But
swing and a miss.
Yeah, and I like that it didn't. I do like that it didn't do that. Right? It's really going in on exploring, like you said, the psychology of this poor broken kid, and I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, we know he's going to become a farmer, but, like, how is this going to happen? Right? Like, how do we get from A to B? Like, I can't even begin to reverse engineer in my head what it's going to take for him to be living some kind of peaceful life, this idyllic farm, like, quiet existence, right? I mean, how is that going to happen? Because he's so poisoned at this point as a person.
Mm-hmm. Well, clearly what he needs to be doing is he needs to start, working on building up his gear and equipment, fight the, and then unlock new tech, and then build up more of it like that. He's got to delve the dungeon. He's got to break some shadow orbs, and I'm now making Terraria references. I apologize.
Got to do a couple Stardew Valley runs.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That would help, I think, in this case. But no, I think that was a great point by you. Very, very well spotted. And great stuff. I love this scene a lot. I thought it was really just crushed by the voice actors here and the director.
The music all nailed. The facial expressions, all of it.
Yeah.
Everything, again, the money's going where it needs to right here. It sells it perfectly. And in a way, like, you might think stuff like played out exactly as expected. Thorfinn was, like, angry, like, pure rage boy. Of course he's gonna, like, yell at Leif and tell him to go fuck himself and all that. But that happened, but we can see what's, on the outline of that. What this anger is kind of like covering, like a scab, which is the wound underneath the trauma, and also the desire to be better, even if he won't admit it. Not directly anyway.
Yeah. Okay, Shadon. What's gonna happen in the next episode? How the fuck is this duel gonna turn out? Because we think that ultimately at some point, if no other reason than the march of time, Thorfinn is gonna win this duel.
And
achieve his satisfaction, or no, it won't be satisfying, but, like, do the thing he wants to do, or that's in play.
Get his Pyrrhic victory, basically.
Right,
yeah.
right. That's in play.
But I have a feeling on this.
But it's also, but Askeladd has proved himself indispensable to the prince, and you can't see him going yet. I mean, he's nowhere near. Canute is nowhere near achieving what he wants to achieve, and I think we saw in the throne room that he needs Askeladd to maneuver through the life of the court and the intrigues and all the eloquent speeches and everything that you're gonna need. He needs that guy on his side because his kind of appearance and determination and strength of ideals will win him some followers like Thorkel, but like it's not going to help him survive.
By the way, can I just point out when you mentioned Thorkel, there's that one little like image of him and Canute on the map that splits, and Thorkel's throwing double peace signs up. I'm like, that's why you know this is fiction, because Thorkel would never throw the peace sign up.
Dude, can I just say, did you see? Please go back and look at this if you didn't see this. During the duel, right before the duel of Bjorn and Askeladd happens, when Askeladd is talking to the prince and saying, hey, we're going to do this duel, you're going to be the witness, but I have to do something first, there's a shot of Thorkel in the background grinning like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I know, I saw that. Great. I'm surprised he's not there with a bag of popcorn. Either that or turning a spit roast hog or something, like just anticipation.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a shank of lamb eating it.
Like, I know we don't get fan art often on Warui Deshou, but like if you want to do fan art, a baseball game with like a foam hand or something, or whatever, you know, for him waiting for this duel, I would love it. Man. I would absolutely love it.
It's too good. I love that shot so much.
Well, God. I'm going to answer your question, Doc. Okay. I have a theory.
All right.
So recall that Canute says in this episode, the duel's over when I say. Canute's not going to let Askeladd die.
I know, this is, yeah.
Thorfinn's going to win this time around, despite the fact that he's now got his knife like in his crutch for some reason, like he's turning into fucking Voldo.
What a pull from Soul Calibur.
I know.
Okay.
Well, that's one way to get up the tier list anyway. But yeah, I think that Thorfinn's going to win and Canute is going to say, nope. No, you don't get to kill him just yet.
But Thorfinn would kill Canute. He doesn't
Well, he's
care.
got... Well, the thing is, though, Thorkel's there.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I think that intervention could happen. And I'm going to go one first.
Do you think Thorkel is going to, this time, hurricane kick instead of the Shoryuken?
No, he's gonna pull Zangief's command throw, whatever, the spinning hurricane.
Yep.
I can see him doing that. Yeah, but I'm gonna go one further than that. I reckon that once Swain is dealt with, Canute's gonna be the one who kills Askeladd. I don't reckon Thorfinn's gonna get his actual full fat, win of the day. He's not gonna have his little bit of salami. Can't let him have a salami. Sorry. He can't. He's not going to get it. Canute's going to have it. Canute's going to Q cut.
Yeah, I think actually, and I may have actually said this before, but like, you know, I feel like in that scenario you've laid out with someone else killing Askeladd gives Thorfinn a clearer path to come out of this well of awfulness that he is in.
It's gonna fucking break him in the first bit, though.
Yeah,
he's gonna lose his shit. Something fierce over that.
Yeah.
But then the problem is that since Canute, of course, is going to now be king after accomplishing this, Thorfinn will have no way of fighting back. And I don't know. I have a feeling some heinous shit's gonna.
Yeah, boy.
Things are not going to end well for Thorfinn. I think we're going to have a downer. You remember what it was like Christmas last year when I was there covering Banana Fish, episode 24, Capturing the Rye, and I've got my goofy Christmas hat on, and like, oh, this is a fucking bummer, isn't it? And that's what it's going to be like.
Man, another one of these. Yeah, I mean, it's only two.
We're going to have bummer episodes every single time Christmas happens, honestly.
Boy.
That show.
God damn it.
fuck's sake, really. That's my guess.
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, it sounds. I think I'm on board with that. I mean, it sounds quite plausible.
It's gonna fucking suck, but it is gonna be. Yeah. It sounds like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, not giving him that, I feel like, would again provide a clear path to him eventually kind of coming around and fixing his life. So yeah, okay, all right, over to you.
Right, let's talk about Bjorn and Askeladd's duel. So I put this as a question in the polls, but I'm going to ask you, Doc. I'm going to give you 3 answers here, but feel free to deviate and come up with your own if you wish.
Okay.
Why do you think Askeladd missed Bjorn's vital? And I've got 3 answers I put on the poll. The first of which is he did it to be cruel to him.
Right.
To let him suffer in his final moments. 2, he did it because he didn't really want to kill him right away, like a hesitation, if you will. Or 3, the cop-out answer, if you're into that, complete accident.
Yeah.
Which it could be, to be fair.
Sure.
I mean, he did say that his leg, after all, had funny, so that might have been one. And indeed, credence is paid to him, like, leaning on his leg when he makes the lunge for Bjorn, so maybe that could indeed be why that happened. It's just that he miscalculated because he's still in his own way injured.
I'm going to go 3 by way of 2.
3 by way of 2. That you reckon that he was mostly accidental, but also didn't really want to do it.
He had that hesitation mentally, and so that led to the fuck up. So as cruel of a bastard as he is, I mean, you can't. I mean, that's just awful. Just being like, well, you can suffer.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed your vitals, bro. Whoops.
Yeah, and especially I think, like, I mean, how could you not be, like, thrown off if someone telling you, I just wanted to be your friend, man, and then fight, there you go. And then he's coming at you with a sword. Man, why do you think this duel happened to begin with?
I think the thing is, Bjorn was dying. Like, we could tell that in the...
Yeah, they needed to have some kind of final resolution of their feelings, but, like, why a duel?
But the thing is, though, Bjorn, like, he is a Dane, and where do Danes on the battlefield? I can't see him wanting to die in bed from a fever or an infection.
No, you're right, like the dying. Yeah, so I guess if he realizes he's going to die, he's going to...
Yeah, I mean, that's why he said it would only... That's why, like, when they were talking to Thor Fionn, they said, we'll only be in... Because they knew what the outcome of this was, but they wanted it to happen under that pretense anyway, which is ironic when you consider that Thor Fionn wants the same kind of thing. And I would argue... I mean, let's get, like, if you want to get into the serious nature of, like, euthanasia and all that.
Askeladd, you were my only friend. Stab.
Yeah.
No.
Master Kell's got it. No warrior goes to Valhalla without a weapon.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, like you said, his preferred place to die, and it's probably the best way to be vulnerable with Askeladd and have him similarly be vulnerable. You know what I mean? If you have some kind of feelings you want to get across to him, that's like the best place to do it is on this battlefield where you know you're going to die, right?
Yeah. And the thing that's, like, first off, it's tragic on the level of just simply that we Bjorn and Askeladd be good friends throughout. Like, whether or not they would openly admit it to each other, like, that's what I would describe them as. Bjorn was like one of the few people, if not the only person, who was steadfast with him when they all mutinied.
Yep. He
went straight in for it. He was like, nope, fuck the lot of you. I know what my loyalty's like. And I would be remiss, by the way. I become more and more aware of people doing a lot of Askeladd and Bjorn shipping in fan art and such. And I bring that up because often I find, like, with fan art like that, where people do ships, it becomes from a place of understanding of an existing relationship that they feel like could be taken further in the headcanon. And you know what? That's great. I'll come with all the headcanon that you want. And I think that also then shows that people recognize their relationship, at the very least friendship, even if that headcanon then takes it further. But then, let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond why this is truly awful. The reason that Askeladd hates Bjorn is just because of his association with the Danes. Even though Bjorn himself has fought with Askeladd all these years and proven his loyalty 10 times over. I mean, this is why Beowulf brought up that question of, like, holding a kid hostage. Like, it's a reprehensible act, and maybe Bjorn wouldn't normally have done it, but he did save Askeladd's life when Thor's was about his fucking number. So war has made enemies of friends here based on their allegiances to countries that both of them, Bjorn and Askeladd, have only the thinnest of connections to. Like, Bjorn's a Dane, but he clearly doesn't give a shit about fighting for his country. And Askeladd's connection to Wales has always been denied him in full, mostly because of his upbringing. And even then, as we've discussed before, like, whether or not he's actually fighting for Wales or not, that's up for debate of whether or not it's just an excuse. But nonetheless, the results speak for themselves in the end. Askeladd's duel with Bjorn ends with Bjorn dead, and he does put him out of his misery after allowing that final moment to say that, he wanted to be his friend. That's all he wanted. It's really, really touching. Like, the music, again, is very similar to that in mood and tone to that when Leif and Thor Fionn are talking, because it is a tragedy. It's stupid and dumb and cruel and awful that these two are now fighting, or brought to fight each other, and it's based on their understanding of this relationship where, I know you hate me all the time just because of who I am and who I was born as, but not because of who I've been since then. That's why I wanted to be your friend. We'll all make enemies out of, even close friends like that. And yeah, Master, you're exactly right. Askeladd gave Bjorn the dignity, of putting the cape over him to, just let him rest without being soaked in blood. And even then, he cleans his blade a little bit of Bjorn's blood at the end rather than letting it soak it. I agreed. Like, I think for my money, by the way, if I were Bjorn, I would have, be killed in that fight, because even me, like, I'm no Viking. I'm certainly no warrior. That's for sure. Guild Gear players may disagree. No, it's true. I am no warrior. But one thing that I am very certain of is that I would not want to die in a bed, like, dying from fever or infection like Bjorn was. I'd want to go out, with dignity and pride. And that's what he does in the end. It's a really powerful moment. I mean, the Berserk references for me, they're not thrown out just as jokes. There is, a similar idea behind it, the betrayal of friendship and all that. And indeed, I wouldn't be surprised if Makoto Yukimura was a little bit inspired by that moment. But hey, nothing wrong with that. And as I was saying, though, Doc, like, while you were away, the thing that's also really sad about this is that Askeladd hates Bjorn simply because of who he is, as in a Dane, which is an attribute that Bjorn does not give two fucks about because he fights the Danes on. But nonetheless, that to Askeladd, stopped them from being friends in the open sense, which is a shame. Like, and that goes back to the whole idea of war making enemies out of people who otherwise would be friends. See Thorkel and Thor Fionn. It's shit. Wait, who meant? Well, that's another question, isn't it? Because then you might argue, well, here's the thing. I actually don't think that it matters if he does or doesn't, because here's the thing. Bjorn dies having heard that. That moment can't then be unsullied, even if he didn't mean it, because it was certainly said sincerely. It's like the old of mice and men moment, like, hey, you know what? I didn't mean we're getting the farm, but before I shoot you in the back of the head, but you go away with that moment. Doc, they can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm back.
We need to get lip readers in on this. Like, I hope there are lip readers in the audience. Either that, or I can start substituting, reading out from mostly these diaries or something like that, just for funsies.
Very professional operation that we're running here. No, I just asked do you think that Askeladd really did mean you were my friend,
So yeah, I think that whether or not he meant it doesn't matter in the end, because Bjorn got to hear the words, not said sincerely that it's true one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want my honest answer, I personally did.
I do too.
I personally think he did.
Again, he's a cad. He's a terrible man who will do many things to accomplish his goals. I also don't think that he would lie about something like that just to give someone comfort, because he is such a bastard.
Yeah, he's too honest about it.
Like, why would he do that?
I mean, this is why also, like, I suppose my question of did he do it to be cruel to him? Like, I can understand why people would go no at that, because if he had, he'd have gloated about it. He certainly wouldn't have tried to, he certainly would then, killed him afterwards to ease his suffering. You'd have probably let it prolong. You're like, well, Bjorn, you're always way too tanked up on the magic mushies. You're a fucking liability. Do you know how much they cost me each time that we went anywhere? God damn it, man.
Right.
Fucking trippy, toadstooly bastard.
Another incredible scene. God, the scene was so good. Man. So many good
tragedy
scenes in
this
fucking episode. Ugh. But yes, very sad. Very sad.
Over to you, Chief.
How did you feel about I guess not the concept of the body double, because it's a very normal kind of thing for royal people. See Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. That's right, I brought that up.
Our Episode 2. I failed you, my queen.
Like,
no, you did great. Well done. Congratulations.
You did your job. So, like, did you... what did you think about the body double in this one? And the, like, oh my god, I knew the whole time. I've always suspected Canute was a woman.
Well, it depends how you look at it, because I think that you can take it on face value as like, God, these guys are fuckwits, which they are, don't get me wrong. But I think it also just goes to show, like, lack of value people have in other people's lives. Like, that they recognize, oh, Canute's dead, like, but he's a woman. My God, I knew it. I fucking knew it.
What a big scoop.
Yeah. But I think, again, that just goes to show, like, how little, like, value people put on the lives of others, even people like Canute.
Yeah, because, like, it's...
I mean, diegetically, I'd understand that being the reaction in that time.
Right, but it's like you said, like, here's this poor soul bleeding out in front of you.
At least Canute has the good sense to, like, be apologetic for it and say, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, and, like...
Sorry, go
ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think the show does a pretty good job in that moment of communicating what I thought was kind of an uncomfortable tone. You know what I mean? Like, here you have some people, like you said, they're like, oh my God, this is big news right here. And some, like, reactions that are genuinely funny because of us anime fans. Like, we know about, Canute's design being the way it is, being a thing. And he's very feminine, kind of in his features and everything. So, like, those reactions were, like, I don't think that they were, like, unfunny, but, like, you're having this, like, moment that, like, there's a funny observation. But, like you said, someone is dying. It's very... There's
a lot of ennui about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, almost a nihilistic scene in some ways, like, but it's very kind of uncomfortable.
I think maybe it speaks
really
to this
good as a scene.
Yeah, I think that the one of the things behind it might be the idea that, like, I mean, this is the Game of Thrones thing, like, let them do their Game of Thrones, but I think people don't care. Like, people see it as spectacle or theatre to enjoy, and so this sudden twist, this shock horror that technically could be in a Shakespeare play, well, what a twist that is indeed. Let's enjoy it like it is actual drama rather than the death of a person who, didn't deserve it. And when I say didn't deserve it, just to make it clear, folks, like, the plan was Askeladd's going to hire an assassin to kill the person he hired to act as a Canute's body double. What a dick.
Yeah, right. Or at the time, everyone still thought it was the prince, so the prince didn't deserve to get shot either. So, yeah, I mean, it's a scene that I could see kind of being botched by a lot of different teams, but I really did think that almost the absurdity of it. I don't know, like it was handled. It was pretty well done, and I don't think like they weren't hitting you over the head with like, look how absurd this scene is. Like, aren't these people like so terrible that they don't care about this? It's sort of just like left for you to kind of take that in. If anything, they pushed really hard. Like, it looks like Canute but with boobs. Like,
I think that the key distinction I make with this scene is that it's unsettling, but it's unsettling in a way that's intended by the work itself and the text, as opposed to being unsettling because it wasn't handled appropriately.
Exactly. They're making an unsettling point, I think.
Which is,
it's well done.
Oh, look at this person dying. Haha, it's funny, it's dramatic, it's great, it's entertainment for the masses. It turns out that Canute was a woman all along. Isn't that a thing that's worth talking about? Like the fucking gossip mongers.
Like that would be the headline. Instead of like Canute dies,
Yeah. Exactly. Not the death itself, more just the shock revelation. Yeah. Although that being said, it certainly handled, this person better than Sherlock does.
Oh man,
that's a teaser for episode 9.
I have no idea what it's about yet, so I'm looking forward to this. Okay.
It's about taking the audience's heads and slamming them inside the car door for.
Good God!
And then pushing them down a cliff. I fucking hated that episode with all the fire in my veins. But that's discussion for a different time.
So hit me with your next point here.
I'm actually good on points. I've said all I really see big moments. I could talk about other moments, like the fact that there's again great design work going into faces and such. Like when we have Leif's flashback, you can actually physically tell that Askeladd is your flashback. And the thing is, like, it's a question of like watching things over a long period of time where you might not, or that where Askeladd in the past, as it were, quote unquote, looks younger than he does now. But you wouldn't necessarily notice that unless you're paying attention. But this is a very deliberate past to present, and you can tell. And that's not just because he's got the scar above his eye, which again they've now added in, but also because of the lines on his face, how sunken he is, how gaunt he looks relative to back then.
Yeah.
So I appreciate them doing that, because it would be understandable if disappointing if they were just like, we'll just have the scenery change, but it looks the same guy. But they actually did that, so kudos to them for doing it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, details are really, really solid in Vinland. They've got all of that on point and on lockdown. And I hope they continue that all the way to the end. Oh, before I forget, I know again it's like, really obvious symbolism, but I loved the flickering candle that was dying out in Bjorn's room as a metaphor for himself, coming to the end of his life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the way that that he's really dying.
Yeah.
Is the can that's the biggest flashing light. Not to put too fine a point on it.
And then Askeladd accident. You know what they could have done to make that even? Ooh, that would have been a thing.
Sorry, you dropped out. What did you say?
What they could have done was they could have had Askeladd be the one to blow it out as he leaves.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that would have been a fucking moment.
That might have been too much.
Yeah, that might have been too on the nose.
What if he just like licked his finger and then?
No, he just knocks it over by accident.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry, Bjorn. I hope you don't get cold in here.
Totally. So I thought, speaking of Askeladd, there was an interesting, and the detail you mentioned, like, I love the way that they drew him in the war room as he's explaining his plans, especially when he concludes the explanation, and he looks like a ringmaster, like a puppeteer, like he's arms out, like, and he's got this look on his face that makes me wonder, and especially given what you said about him being killed by Canute, like, will there be this moment when, those two clash? They're in their kind of ideals or their vision, and will Canute just be like, this guy is too clever for his own good.
Yeah.
Like, he's too dangerous even to me. And I don't know, like, because once he's got power and he honors the Welsh agreement, it'll be fine. But maybe leading up to it, right? Like, maybe Askeladd will think, God damn it, Canute. If you don't do it this way, you're going to ruin everything. And Canute will just be like, no, we have to do it my way. In fact, I'm going to go.
Yeah, in fact, you know what, Askeladd? I'll play it your way for once. Oh, how do you like them apples?
Right.
Yeah. Because Canute clearly still has some moral censor when he seems disgusted at the outcome. Which, funnily enough, I think may very well be the way he rules from here on out, which is that his morality now is only in hindsight, which is, well, that's too little too late.
Oh, man. It really is like stark. A few episodes ago when he had his epiphany, like he felt like so, he was the actualizer, right? He was an active, like he was the one making things happen. And he feels very dependent on Askeladd right now. And like you said, like, I'm sure about the body double. He's like, well, you played your part in establishing Vinland, a real heaven on earth, a utopia. So you didn't die in vain. You died for the cause, and that's fine. I can sleep well enough at night. But like, how many more of those will happen? Because fuck, man, he didn't tell him he was gonna do. Askeladd didn't tell Canute he was gonna do this. He probably would have objected. And like, yeah, will there be a line that gets crossed? Right? We're like, you did this without telling me, like. You are so dead, you know what I mean? So
man, wouldn't that be like, I've said all this time about Thor Fionn they should have killed Askeladd because of all the awful shit he's done, not least of which being his own personal reasons for doing that. What a fucking irony that would be if Canute then killed him because he knows that Askeladd is doing all this shit and he's the one willing to actually step up and do it. Oh my god, I think my head would explode.
Yeah, and Massa, I don't think, like, I think Canute asked Askeladd if he was going to kill him because I think he would have tried to spare him somehow. I don't think he wanted him to kill him, and I think he didn't pursue the line of questioning any further when he realized Askeladd is actually going to let him live and not kill him, which I think is what he wanted, despite knowing that he's a spy. And this is what I want to be made, like, really explicit with Canute going forward, that like he has these kind of, he wants these like seemingly impossible outcomes because he is this idealist, right? Here you have like a threat to the kingdom, a spy, and we have to kill him, but no, we have to keep him alive. Why? Like, because this is my like moral code. Like, this is that's what I want from Canute. I want him to come into conflict with Askeladd in this way. So I'm really excited about these last 3 episodes. I have no idea what could be in store. I mean, I think the series is a snowball going downhill at this point. I think it's only gonna
it's really built momentum.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely impressed with how it's found its footing again. It's giving us like what I think it wanted to do but never did simultaneously, which is it's giving us good character work, but it's also giving us the wider messaging of the show. It's not letting one come at the detriment of the other. Now, to be fair, the character work in the earlier part of the show had to be set up before we could even get the wider messaging, let's be honest. Although even in the earliest episodes was stuff like Halfdan. You remember him?
I haven't thought about Halfdan in a while, but yes, I remember.
Yeah. He's only 3rd Dan now. He's lost some weight.
Yeah.
But like, slavery and all. Escaping to, I mean, you and I were discussing in the second episode about the slave, and like Thor's giving him the image of Vinland as a send-off, which now ties back to Bjorn and his send-off here in friendship with Askeladd. It all comes round again, telling you folks, all links. And then, of course, we had like the segue into the more wider stuff where we kind of got to see the characters as a group, but from outside perspectives, like with, for example, Anna, was it? I can't remember her name. The lady who had the ring, the one ring of power.
Oh, God.
You remember her?
Yeah.
That was a great episode. Yeah. Great episode. Not about our characters per se, but rather more about how they interact with the world and how they are viewed from the outside. But that then kind of shifted away from that focus, which I've had some issues with. Pacing has not been great. But right now, this show is firing on all cylinders. The guys who are doing this are doing a damn fine job. in pretty much every respect, and I'm really, really impressed with it. I don't know whether or not in the end this show will outshine some of the other stuff that I've seen this year in terms of anime release this year, to be honest. But it's certainly punching quite high at the moment. I've been quite impressed by it.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think this, like, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but hey, it's always someone's first show. So I feel like this show would have fared so well if it came out in like the first anime boom period in North America, like in the late 90s, whenever there wasn't a lot of content, not nearly as much as we have now, and it would have hopefully kind of come out quickly. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that came out piecemeal, but it would be ideal, I think, to get all the show at once and to watch it like as quickly as possible from front to back.
Binging this one, but probably for the better, yeah.
I think the flaws will be less apparent, the pacing flaws, because there's enough to like propel you through the middle, in my opinion, that you're given early on. And yeah, I think that would work better for the show. And, you know, today there's just such a glut of content that so many good things get passed over and don't get their due. But
yeah, and I'd be remiss as well if I said, like, you know, I joke with Leif, like, you know, oh, here he is, sir, not appearing in this film, but he came back.
Yeah,
and not only was it a good payoff of Thor. Let's be honest here. In this story, Leif's presence is not really for his own character. He is there to serve the purpose of enhancing or challenging Thor Fionn's character, which is fine. Characters can be created to serve that purpose. Not every single character needs or even should, as far as good writing goes, have the same amount of screen time. But what I even really appreciate is not only did they manage to, you know, get that, like, here's how he challenges Thor Fionn, and we got that, like, stuff that I talked about before from Thor Fionn's perspective, we in turn got to see how it has actually taken a toll on Leif's own life, from him wandering the known world at the time trying to find Thor, and how there is an argument to be made, even if you don't agree with it, it's still an argument that's worth having, that he might have wasted his life doing so. And that's all for a character whose presence in this show has only been peripheral at most, and has only really been to serve as kind of like the wise old sage who sets ideas off his head, and they still give him that amount of characterization where there has been a cost to him as well. This is good shit.
It is. It's very good. So, do we rate the episode or do we check on the polls?
We'll check on the polls firstly, since I have those.
Okay.
This wheel over here and then pull this up here. Yeah, we're very old-fashioned here. So, poll number 1 for episode 21. Which moral system do you reckon Thor Fionn follows? And the answers are 14% say Paragon and 86% say Renegade. Well put. If anyone wants to start photoshopping in Renegade prompt points, like, for example, when Thor Fionn loses it with Leif, that would be a good time to do it. Next up.
Leif will remember this.
Leif will remember it, yeah. Poll number 2. Does Thor Fionn realize on some level that killing Askeladd will give him no joy or finality in the end? 57% say yes, and 43% say no. So mixed bag here, mixed bag. And I could see it both ways, actually. As much as I argue the yes side of it, which he kind of does with that second repeat of the line, I think that, you know, there's having an unconscious understanding of it, and so all the degrees thereof until you actually really do realize it. Poll number 3. Is Gunnar the worst spy in human history? And, well, this is a fucking landslide, isn't it? I mean, Jesus Christ, like, you know, this guy could not even, like, you know, get past airport customs if he had to approach the one blind person they had there, which would be 100% say absolute fail. Yep.
Not since 0%, not since Maxwell Smart has there been.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jesus Christ, like Leslie Nielsen, like, you know, in The Naked Gun, like, he's a better spy than him. Episode 21, poll number 4. This was a repeat of the question I asked Doc. Why or how did Askeladd miss Bjorn's vitals in their duel? 0% say to make him suffer. 36% say reluctance to kill him, and 64% say complete accident. So, yeah, I think that's, again, like, pretty much with the ratio said where be. So it makes sense to me. All right, that's the polls, folks. Thank you very much for throwing those out there.
Yep.
They will be open for another week. So get your answers in on those. Let us know what you think in advance of episode 2 when, well, shit's the fan again, repeatedly.
Indeed. So I guess we should rate the episode now. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this episode had a lot of strong points visually and narratively that we have talked about. So I'm going to give this episode 4.75 body doubles who have sadly perished out of 5.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it the exact out of 5. Because you saw him like doing his little jig inside the, inside the forest. You know full well like he's just completely and utterly fucking useless. But yeah, again, like I said with the previous episode, all the right notes are being hit at the moment.
Yeah.
So much meaning is being derived out of these scenes here. We're getting payoff for long-established moments, which we've been promised. Leif didn't turn out to be, like a thing waiting in the distance. We actually got genuine meaning out of it, both for him and for Thor Fionn, which, fuck me, if that's not impressive writing there and then. The music was spot on. The moments with Bjorn and Asgard, again, very touching, very moving, very well handled. All the line work. Yeah, this show is like really, really hitting its stride, and in the moments where it matters most. How many shows have you and I watched where we can say like strongly, or it's ending that strongly even?
Yeah, and anime endings are hard, man.
It's always hard. It is always hard to stick the landings, to be honest.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
But it's doing it, which means, of course, now it actually has to land. Please don't fuck this up, Vinland Saga. Just say.
You can stick the landing on your 2019 by becoming a Warui Deshou patron.
Too right, you can.
Over at patreon.com/Warui Deshou. There are 3 budget-friendly tiers, $2, $3, $5. You get all kinds of cool rewards. We're doing some podcasts about Studio Ghibli works. That 2 of those have been released to patrons are Laputa, Castle in the Sky, and A Tale of Princess Kaguya. Princess Mononoke, the other Ghibli princess, is forthcoming. And you can get those early. Those, like I said, have been out and will be out soon for patrons of any stripe, any tier. Along with all kinds of other goodies. Like we got a pretty cool active Discord that you could be a part of. We got bonus content, bonus episodes. We're about to record our after show, which you can get if you're a patron. We have, like full-on audio essays and reviews for the higher tiers that you can get a hold of. We're doing another episodic review like the one that you're seeing here for a second anime. This season we're tackling Kabukicho Sherlock. Next season will be one that's much more desirable. We'll have one that there will be something like Jeweler Richard or Dorehidoro or something like that.
Hell, I'll watch nuclear fallout test footage instead of Kabukicho Sherlock. Or how about PSAs about polio and diphtheria? I'll watch instead from the fucking 50s.
The slow TV review stream.
Yeah, give me something like that instead of watching that heinous piece of shit.
Check it out if you can. But if you're not able, or hell, just don't want to support us financially, I don't blame you, and you're valid, and it's cool. We love you anyway. But you could show support if you are so inclined for free support. If you share our stuff, follow us places like Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. Click the little bell to get our YouTube videos. If you may be listening to this on SoundCloud and be like, what? There's a YouTube? There's a stream of this? And there are other videos, but it's true. So
you get to see my face and everything. Now that's a reason to subscribe.
Completely. There's a Twitch channel, and if you want to contact us, you can get up with the show at wateruideshow@gmail.com or Warui Deshou on Twitter, where you vote on the polls, if you want to complain or encourage. But I think I left this off almost, and I can't. Why did I do that? Apple Podcast reviews, the former iTunes, rest in peace. You're now up there in World 1-1 with Bjorn and iTunes hanging out together forever. in the next world. But yeah, that helps our discoverability a lot. And reviews, ratings are always appreciated. But if you want to contact Shadon, only Shadon, how would they do that?
You can find me. I have a curious cat on the same thing, I believe. Feel free to drop me questions, statements, or questions and statements simultaneously, whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah, so Shadon1010 on Twitter and Curious Cat. For me, it's at The Subtle Doctor on Twitter. At me about whatevs. I'm here for you. And I think that's going to do it for the reunion stream. I wish we could play Reunion, the Final Fantasy VII OST track
that'll be the music for the duel next episode.
Mm-hmm. But look, we've loved having you all. Thank you to everyone.
Indeed, thank you very much, everyone
in chat, and for everyone watching who's just lurking. Lurkers are valid. And for everyone watching or listening on demand, podcast audience, YouTube audience, we love you. And
indeed.
We hope that you brave the cold and that you have a happy and safe...
Real hoodie power, folks.
Cold
Saves
time.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for Shadon, this is me, the Subtle Doctor, saying, embrace each other, everyone, to the ends of the universe.
Good night, everyone. All the best.